All right, so hi guys. Long time no see in a story time, right? I know I definitely talked about this before, how I didn't want to do like story time after story time after story time because then I wouldn't have many stories to tell. It's actually really funny. After talking to a friend of mine, she was the one who actually told me that like I have a very interesting life, and I honestly didn't think I did because my life now is really mundane and boring. But yeah, my early years were pretty freaking crazy, and I had some of the worst luck to some people. So let's just get started. So this is me talking about, oh god, the reason why I'll never get braces again, slash terrible dentists, slash terrible orthodontists, because I actually don't know exactly what I'm going to title the video at the time of recording the audio, but I just want to talk about my terrible experiences and why it actually gave me a fear of the dentist. And because I didn't used to have a fear, and it's mostly because these terrible these terrible instances, and these are not as bad as some people I know. I've known people who have had a lot worse experiences, but for me, they just, I seem to be, back in the day when I was really young, that like really, really, really rare ratio number when they do like, statistics of like, oh, one in 38 people have this happen to them. I'm just, shooting a random number in my head. I'm usually that one. So we're just gonna start from the beginning. So I actually had really, really nasty teeth. I really wish I could have pictures to show you guys like before and after photos, because my teeth are not perfect now. They reverted back, but they are not as bad as they used to be. But when you're a kid with terrible, terrible teeth, you usually don't, and self-confidence issues, you don't usually show those teeth in pictures. So like all of my childhood pictures where I was told to smile, I would do the little smile because I hated my teeth. But if any of you guys have seen like my wedding photos or anything that I post on social media, I have currently my bottom teeth are pretty, I guess the technical word's impacted. They're like against each other instead of straight. And I have this little mini tooth that I tend to draw on my persona and is also in my photos. This is going to be the story of how those came to be. So we're going to just start right off the bat with my orthodontist, because my bad stuff didn't seem to happen until after my orthodontist stuff. I was very lucky at the time, and I realized that I was lucky because as an adult now, oh boy howdy, I did not realize how expensive the dentist was. My husband and I recently went to our dentist to get our teeth cleaned, because it's been the first time in literal years to get our teeth cleaned, because we didn't have insurance on it, and we recently got insurance through his work. And oh my god, we like had a super long conversation about how the hell people can afford dental work, and how just a lot of people just don't, and how we didn't realize how expensive it was as kids, because when you're growing up, that's not something your parents ever talk about. My parents never talked about money to us. Same with Cody's family. Even when we were struggling, it was just, we're having a hard time. We never actually got the actual numbers. So we actually ended up not getting our teeth cleaned because we couldn't afford it with our insurance. But what ended up happening, so backtrack, back when I was younger, I would always get my teeth cleaned every 6 months, because with my parents' insurance, either it was covered or my parents didn't have money at the time and they paid for it. But I remember right around middle school was when I was going to get braces. Now, if you guys don't know, they want to give you braces after all your baby teeth fall out, because there's no real point in fixing baby teeth. They're going to frickin' fall out. So I only had a couple of baby teeth left when I got my braces put on, which is also why, if you ever notice, when kids, like young kids, get braces, usually they'll have a lot of gaps in their teeth, and that's because usually they'll be told, hey, you gotta get your teeth pulled to get this done. So this is how I got the mini fang, and then we're gonna go into how terrible my orthodontist was. So after I did my x-rays and everything, I had a weird genetic, I don't want to call it a defect. I don't remember the technical term they told me, but pretty much I think that's an incisor, in my little mini fang section, I technically had 3 teeth. So I had a baby tooth, I had an adult tooth, and I had a tooth under my adult tooth. That wasn't this fang. And how my orthodontist and dentist told my parents was like, oh, we don't have to pull the other tooth, but we should, because there's another tooth coming in and out of it, because the other tooth might come down and pop out the adult tooth. So That was their big thing. And then they were saying, oh, it'll be easy. What we'll do, because it's a normal sized tooth underneath, at least that's what they told me. But even in the x-rays, like I asked to look back at them when I was older, and it wasn't a bigger tooth. So pretty much it got pulled. I was stuck with this little mini fang, and I've been stuck with it literally ever since. And I've been having dentists and stuff tell me for years that I need to get a cap on it. But you know what? I've had it for years. At this point, I don't see a point in paying anywhere between $500 to $1,000 to get a cap on a tooth that I've had since middle school that has no issues. But it was something that I was always so angry about, because I would have had normal teeth for the most part if they hadn't have pulled that second tooth. And so that was one thing that they lied to me about, because they flat out told me that it was a normal sized tooth. It would come down. We would just didn't, that never freaking happened. So another thing with how terrible my orthodontist was. So now my middle younger brother went to the same orthodontist as me, but because of what they did to me and my brother, my mom didn't take my baby brother to them. They took my baby brother to someone better, and his teeth has stayed perfect ever since. My brother and I, who went to the crappy orthodontist, our teeth didn't stay straight, and they tried just getting more money out of us. So we're just gonna backtrack. So when I had braces, I don't know what it was, because I was pretty diligent. I'm not gonna say I was perfect, because no kid I know who had braces was freaking perfect, but I would constantly be having my wires snap and cutting my gums. I would constantly have these pain issues. They would tighten the bands so tight that my teeth would end up bleeding. And I remember there was a time where they like triple banded something. And if you guys never had braces, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I don't know how else to describe it besides the terms they gave to me. They would triple band my jaw to where I actually developed TMJ from it. Luckily, I no longer have it, but almost everyone else I knew who went to this dentist developed TMJ for the longest time. And every now and then, even in my adult life now, if I open my jaw too far, sometimes I will hear a pop or it'll get stuck. It's been very rare that it's happened. It used to happen all the time when I first got them taken off, where I would say it really probably wasn't until the past 3 years that I haven't had any popping or issues. But pretty much it was getting, they would tighten my stuff so tight that I remember I wouldn't be able to have any food. Whatever glue they used really ripped away at my enamel. So whenever I would go get my teeth cleaned, I would end up having chipped teeth, and I'd have to get that fixed, which my parents fixed. Again, these are all things that I didn't know were super expensive at the time, and I am very lucky that I had parents to be able to afford that. But I also knew a lot of kids who went to the same orthodontist as I did, and they didn't have that money. So I remember they would come to school with like the silver capped teeth and stuff like that. And I never thought anything of it, and they never thought anything of it, but that's just how it was. This place was terrible. So another thing too, I remember what they would do is if we would fail cleanliness tests, I don't know if anybody else did this, but I know mine did. They wouldn't replace our disgusting bands. They would keep them on, and then they would keep them on for like 2 to 3 months, even if we would vigorously clean them and scrub them. And you obviously, if they're already dirty, you couldn't really get a lot out of it, so just extra gunk rotting on your teeth. And then they would take them off, and then they would oh, I just remember these ladies being so mean. Like, they would never say anything, but they wouldn't be caring. They were always, none of them ever smiled. I always remember, it's like none of them would ever smile. They always looked like they hated their lives. They always were really rude and uncaring. And I remember it was something even my mom commented on. And my mom almost, just so you guys know, my mom is not a normal, my mom is not a Karen. She really isn't, and so for her to say something, it's usually bad. My mom is usually very understanding. And I remember my mom would always be like, she would like call around, try to get other places to take us, and they wouldn't, or for some reason, or they wouldn't let you like break a contract. It was dumb. But when I finally got my braces taken off, this was my sophomore year, my late sophomore year, because I had been dating Cody at the time. Probably almost the end of sophomore year of high school. And I remember I got them taken off, and they put me on a retainer. And I remember asking them, because I was, a teenager now, I was like, when's my mini tooth gonna come in? And they're like, oh, we gotta put a cap on it. We were wrong. I remember being like, what? And they're like, yeah, we thought it would come down. I guess it just didn't, you know. So we're gonna have to pay an extra like $1,000 to put a cap on that tooth. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. My parents aren't gonna pay for that. No. Now, again, at the time, my parents had the money, but I told them no. I didn't like that practice. I didn't like they charged my parents to pull my teeth in the first place. Then I went through all this crap, and now they want to charge my parents extra money for a mistake they caused on me. A mistake that I am still living with. And I'm still bitter about it. I am bitter that they fucked up my teeth. But there was nothing we could really do, and you can't exactly sue an orthodontist over that, because they would just claim that, oh, well, this was a possibility, and you didn't have to get your tooth pulled, but, you know, we highly, highly recommended it, and we wouldn't put a thing on if you didn't, so. And before anybody says anything, I found out recently this orthodontist, like, the actual building and the guy lost his license and everything, so I'm happy about that, so he's not fucking over other kids' teeth, but, you know, too little too late, so. Anyway, I got my retainer. This is before they closed down, by the way. I got my retainer, and my bottom teeth and my little tooth started moving. They started becoming impacted. My mother was very angry, obviously, because also, didn't know this, retainers are also very, very expensive on top of braces. So it's one of those things where you're not even, like, free of it. And I went through, I kid you guys not, 4 sets of retainers before I gave up. And they charged them for every set because my teeth kept fucking moving. They kept moving back. And then they told my mom, well, she can either get a permanent retainer, which will cost about $5,000. And again, keep in mind, I was in high school, which is why I know the prices for this now, because they said it in front of me. It'd be $5,000 for a permanent retainer. Or I could just have braces again after having them for years, and that would be another $10,000. And I remember turning to my mom and being like, my braces, the pain I've been through, all this crap cost you 10 grand. And my mom was like, well, yeah, that's how orthodontists are. You know, and that didn't include the teeth pulling, the cleaning, the other things I had to get done. That was just to get the stupid wires on my teeth. I was so pissed and done. I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to keep having braces and retainers for the rest of my life. Now, before people start commenting that you have braces right now, or you have a retainer right now, and no, I'm not attacking you. This is me personally. I did not go through all this pain and this suffering and the being unable to eat, the getting my tooth chips fixed, to, you know, having my gums bleed every time I would try to eat something. No, I wasn't going to go through that for the rest of my life. I just wasn't. No, I wasn't going to give these people more of my parents' money, you know, because my parents didn't really have the money at the time, but my mom was willing to sacrifice to have that happen if it's what I really wanted. And I didn't want that. And it was something that really, really messed me up. And then, surprise, surprise, when my little brother had his stuff taken off, same thing started to happen. His teeth started reverting back, this and that. Now, keep in mind, your teeth do tend to revert back not that fast. They're not supposed to revert back that fast. And I am grateful my teeth did not revert back to the way they used to be, but they're not perfect now, which, you know what? Fine, whatever. I don't have perfect teeth, but it's really made me scared for, again, when I eventually have kids and I eventually want them to have braces if they want it, if they care about it, you know, because I'm going to have to do a lot of research because I've been screwed over by it. And I know I was screwed over by it because my baby brother didn't go through any of this stuff with the orthodontist he went to. One, it was cheaper. It was cleaner. The people were nicer. They always listened to everything. I remember I had to take him to some of his appointments, and it was overall great. And then when he was done, boom, you get to wear your retainer sometimes, you're fine, there you go. You're good. You know, some people do obviously need to get a permanent retainer put in. I have a couple of friends who have permanent retainers put in, but that's usually a small, tiny piece of metal compared to, like, you know, an entire top retainer put in. Those are usually really rare cases. But that just something that traumatized me of it. So we're going to go now into my dentist fear. Because this one's a little more recent. Well, little, not by much. It was also when I was in high school, but I was towards senior year, almost graduating. So, what had happened was my wisdom teeth came in. You guys know you're supposed to usually get your wisdom teeth taken out because of genetics. We don't really need them anymore as humans. And in most cases, they end up fucking over our teeth and actually helping our teeth. And the actual populous number of people who don't exactly need it, as in, like, you know, they can keep them, it doesn't hurt them, it doesn't affect them in any way, is a really, really, really tiny, rare number. But I was getting my wisdom teeth pulled. Now, this dentist, which I also never go back to, and I also found out is now no longer existing. So, yay. Happy to know I wasn't the only person they screwed over. But what ended up happening was they told me originally I was going to be put to sleep. Now, if anybody's been put to sleep for a surgery or any kind of thing, you know you are not allowed to eat 24 hours before your surgery. That's just how it is, because you can die. It's dark, but that's usually why. They're not saying it to be silly and make it easier on them. They're like, no, you can literally die, so you don't want to die. I didn't want to die, so I made sure, you know, I didn't eat 24 hours before my surgery, and I went in, and then my mom was there, and they were all ready, and then they were like, oh, yeah, when's she going to be put out? And everything's like, oh, she's not going to be put out. And me and my mom were like, excuse me, you told me I was going to be put out. And they're like, no, you're going to be awake. And my mother was very angry, and I was very angry because I hadn't eaten for 24 hours to prepare for this, so I was starving. And then I was told that I was going to get some of my teeth taken out. So, not much I can do there. So, went in, and I ended up having... I don't exactly know if this was the dentist or if it was a specialist. I'm not sure with wisdom teeth, so don't, at me on that. But whoever it was told me that, all right, if you feel if you feel pain, raise your hand, because you shouldn't feel pain, and we will, go on. We'll go on with it. So they numb me, and it hurt like a bitch. It's always hurt like a bitch. I've always hated getting cavities filled and my teeth cleaned, because, but what ended up happening is, my face swelled up like it's supposed to, and went to work, and I started to feel the worst pain. The worst pain I'd ever felt. I would raise my hand, and the dentist, for this case, I'm just gonna call him the dentist kept telling me, no, that's pressure. And it wasn't pressure. There's a big difference between pressure and pain, okay? And I was literally sobbing. And the nurse was even like, maybe we should relax a little, see what's going on. This doesn't seem right. She's crying. And he's like, no, it's pressure. So I later found out the dentist fucked up. And instead of giving me the proper numbing Novocaine that I'm supposed to get, or if it's not Novocaine, because they're supposed to give you a heavy duty one for your wisdom teeth, because in some cases they're literally breaking the tooth out of you. They can't just pop it, and they have to cut open your gums, which, surprise, surprise, they had to do for me. And so, oh Christ, just remembering this is making my teeth hurt. But they got half of my mouth done. And then the dentist realized that he messed up, and he gave me the lower dosage of pain, the numbing pain stuff, that's usually meant for cavities. And not just any cavities, children's cavities. Yeah, so the whole time that he apologized, still charged my parents, but he apologized and was like, you know what? Why don't we stop today, and in 2 weeks you come back and we do the other side. And I was very grateful, because I didn't think I could handle the rest of it being with this. And I remember being so angry and upset, but you can't really talk right away, so I couldn't really say shit. And I don't remember if the dentist told my mom if he fucked up or not. I know when I eventually could talk, I told my mom, and she was not happy, so I don't think he did. And I say he because the dentist was a he. But so then went home, barely ate because everything hurt, but mouth healed up 2 weeks ago, ready to go back. But this time I had Cody come back with me, because I did not want to be alone, because I was alone with the dentist this time, with last time, with the dentist and the nurse. And I told Cody, I'm like, please come with me. I can't do this. I can't have them mess up my mouth again. I can't have them fuck up again. And he was like, yeah, no problem, don't worry. So he was there. Same shit happened again. Started feeling a lot of pain, would raise my hand. Dentist would be like, no, it's pressure. But this time I had Cody as support, and I love my husband very, very much. Obviously, we weren't married at the time. But he'd be like, hey, she's in pain. She's raising her hand. She is crying. Something is wrong. And the dentist would stop, let me breathe, let me get through it. And this time it was a lot less painful. It still fucking hurt, but it was a lot less painful. And still wasn't put out. Don't know why. But that got done. Everything was fine. Got my gums stitched up. And this time, though, I think they overdid the numbing stuff, because when I got home, and I found out from friends later on, literally years later, this is a huge health hazard. So I'm telling this now so you guys know if this ever happens to you, because I didn't fucking know. When I got home, my mom got me some ice cream. My tongue, not my teeth, my tongue was so numb, I could not feel the cold on the ice cream on my mouth. It was the weirdest, scariest feeling I'd ever done. I could not feel the temperature of anything. And I later found out that that's very, very dangerous, because I could have bitten my tongue off in my sleep because my tongue was so numb, my brain would not have told my teeth to stop. I could have choked on my tongue, which is a thing that happens. So if you ever go to the dentist or have anything happen where your tongue goes numb, and so numb that you cannot feel temperature, you need to go back to the dentist or a doctor and tell them immediately. This is something I wish I had done. I wish my parents had done, because I am very lucky I did not bite off my tongue and bleed to death in my sleep, or end up choking on my tongue in my sleep, because when it's that numb, your brain isn't working properly because of the drugs in your system, so not telling your teeth to stop. Because another fun anatomy fact, learning with Michi, it is our brain that makes us stop when pressure is involved. I believe when I was in anatomy, my teacher said that, because I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure if you can bite into a hard carrot, you can bite off a human finger. It's literally our brain telling us that's a finger, that's a carrot. That's, making us stop. It's also why kids with pica have a really dangerous disease, because they can end up eating a lot of things because their brain doesn't tell them not to eat it. So that's why a lot of them end up getting sick. I learned about pica because I used to work with kids. But yeah, so got everything done. My tongue eventually gained feeling again. And then we went back to get, everything checked out, like my stitches. And I remember... And this is why, and this was the nail in the coffin where I said, Mom, I'm never going to these people ever again. I just can't. They were looking at my mouth, and the dentist, the same one who did the surgery on me for my wisdom teeth, was like, huh, that's weird. Now, if any of you guys have anxiety and fears and paranoia, like I do, you never want your doctor to say, huh, that's weird, or that's not right, or that's not normal, or, we should get this checked out. That's usually never good signs. I asked what was wrong, and he said that he's like, oh, your stitches fell out. And I was like, what? It's like, yeah, must not, and he just joked it off like it was nothing. He's like, must not have put the stitches on properly. Isn't that funny? And I'm like, no, it's not funny. And I was sassy this time because I had already been to this dentist for an entire month. I had lost nearly 15 pounds because I couldn't eat properly. I had missed a lot of school. I was in a fuck ton of pain. I was bedridden and I was miserable. And then they had the nerve to say, like, isn't that funny? No, it's not funny. And this time, I got my mom, brought her right in. I'm like, no, and my mom needs to be here to talk about this. No. Told my mom. My mom was very angry, rightly so. And the dentist just laughed it off like it was funny. And my mom was like, well, does she have to worry about this? Is she gonna have to da-da-da-da-da? And he was like, no, her stomach should just digest it. It'll be fine if she swallowed it. It's like, if she swallowed it. And so then I later had to go to an urgent care to get an x-ray done or I don't know if it was an X-ray. I don't know what the technical term is when it's like they make you drink that weird liquid, that weird colorful liquid, and then they like see your organs and stuff. And the stitch was there because it wasn't digestible somehow, because I'm that rare anomaly. And I was lucky. They gave me this special drink that had it poop out. I know it's really gross to say that, but if they didn't, it probably would have ended up me peeing it out, and then that could have been a huge health hazard where I'd have to go to the hospital. So they gave me a weird laxative medication that made that happen, and then it was gone because I had to go back in like 2 weeks to see if it was still there, and it was gone, and I was good. Didn't have any pain, but never went to that dentist again. And then when I found out years later that they you know, were they were out of business, same with the orthodontist, I remember being like, huh, so was I that rare anomaly? Or were they just that shitty? And I like to think that I was a rare anomaly and they were that shitty. So, needless to say, it has given me very, very bad trust issues with dentists. And I know it's terrible to say, but it is. Now, whenever I get anything done, if I get anything done, my anxiety is through the roof. My heart's always racing. I'm freaking out. I have to actually ask my doctor if I can get some like calming medication so that I'm not like freaking out while they do their job. But yeah, let's hope that my new dentist, I don't know why I said orthodontist, I'm never getting braces again. Why my new dentist isn't an asshole. And I'll leave it here. Hope you guys enjoyed this story time of a terrible experience in my childhood. And as always, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.